Hello gorgeous soul friends, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Hannah, welcome to my channel, and it's such an honor to be a part of your wondrous earth experience today. I wanted to put out this video as an update to the original Starseeds video that I had posted a couple of years ago, because my perception of Starseeds has evolved, you could say. I still resonate with the original Starseeds idea that each of us are individually composed of different types of DNA from various groups of beings who have a higher understanding of our world. However, I don't necessarily resonate with the idea that these beings hail from other planets and galaxies and such. They're of Earth. They're human, in fact. Each individual starseed origin is just a representation of the various pathways of evolution that humanity either progressed or regressed into. Because in order for a being to materialize on a planet, it must be a vibrational match for the planes within that planet. So every extraterrestrial that we see here is of Earth, because in order to even materialize here on the planet, it must be a vibrational match. And that goes for all planets. A more proper term for these beings is interdimensionals, because they can travel through space-time, whether that's through internal work that they've done, which allows their body to freely move throughout space-time, or they've externally evolved and developed technology to be able to do so. Referencing interdimensionals as their affiliated star systems, such as Pleiadians, Sirians, Orions, Andromedans, all of that, it just represents a level of initiation within the cosmic progression of our species. So, as above, so below, just as we have our own astrological progression, right? You have the heavens, which mark certain experiences within a person's life. A species also goes through that same cosmic progression. And an example of this is the commencement into the Age of Aquarius. You hear a lot of people in the spiritual community talking about the Age of Aquarius. We're, going into this golden age of humanity. The Age of Aquarius is an initiation rite. It is an initiation into a new level of consciousness for our species. And evolution happens in a waveform. It's not strictly up or down. It is a consistent waveform that is either constantly rising or constantly declining. But either way, there's these micro movements. There's no such thing as stagnant energy with evolution. Everything is always changing. Even when it appears stagnant, there are tiny micro movements within that waveform that are either going in an upward or downward trajectory. The only time that there is a flat line with any sort of evolution is when there is death of a species. That is the only time a flat line occurs. We are always either evolving to progress or regress. And we can regress in one of two ways. Humans are either evolving in brain and heart coherence with the planet, or they are not. And if they are not, then they're devolving in one of two ways. Humanity can degenerate within the mind, as it did in Lemuria, which is why we devolved into ape-like beings, or it can degenerate within the heart, within the emotions, which leads to psychopathy. It leads to a pure and total psychopath. So the more malefic interdimensionals that people report performing experiments on humans and abducting humans are purely disconnected from emotion. They are completely disconnected from their ability to feel. And they devolved over time to completely lack empathy. They sacrificed their emotional aspect in favor of rationale and reason. And like yin and yang, these two parts of the mind are necessary, right? Brain and heart coherence. We need compassion in order to balance out that rationale. They go hand in hand. There is not one that is better or more favorable than the other. So this emphasis on rationale and reason created these hyper-materialistic perspectives of the world, which allowed them to advance technologically. So they created these extremely advanced forms of tech, but everything evolution-wise was outside of them. They focused their evolution outward. They didn't advance inward spiritually, and now they rely on us to reconnect them with their more feminine parts of self. They're envious of us. They envy our ability to feel, our ability to create. It is such a powerful thing to be able to feel, especially in the spiritual realm. The only reason that Atlanteans created such advanced technology was to develop an understanding of our own inner workings, because As I've stated in multiple videos, inorganic technology is just a reflection of processes that occur in nature. So all of these technological advancements that they had in Atlantis were just kind of like relics. You know, they were utilizing inorganic technology to understand the capabilities that we have as nature's technology. So on the other hand, angelic beings and these high vibrational beings that you hear about in the New Age, you know, you hear about spirit guides and angels and all of that stuff, they are just interdimensionals who evolved inward. They're able to travel through the cosmos with their body. That's the thing, is we don't need external technology to be able to do any kind of interdimensional traveling. We can do it all ourselves, but it takes training, it takes practice, it takes evolution inward, spiritually. It takes emphasis on the spiritual aspect, focus on the spiritual aspect in order to attain those abilities. And of course, as we evolve with that, it will become easier and easier over time. But that's what these higher dimensional beings did. They're essentially superhumans. They're like us. They're like the humans that we will evolve into should we remain connected with our soul. These beings also interact with technology. They can use it whenever they'd like, but again, it's a tool for self-discovery and self-development rather than something that they rely upon to mirror aspects of ourselves back to us in order to promote deeper understanding. So they did have an appreciation for technology, and they can use it whenever they'd like, but they don't depend upon it. And there's a polarizing force within the mainstream that is rising and giving way to a new religion to be birthed forth. You know, a religion that's dressed up to be free thought spirituality, but is actually a watered down bastardization of occult science. Real, genuine occult science. You know, and over the course of the coming decade, we will see the commercialization of spirituality increase sporadically. You know, this commercialization of the New Age increase sporadically, and it's already happening. I mean, you know, so many preps for disclosure have happened with all of these high-profile UFO and ET accounts that have been coming out in the recent years in the mainstream media, and they're not being ridiculed. You know, they're being accepted as something that is possibly valid. I wouldn't be surprised if the government declassifies the existence of interdimensionals within the next few years, especially after Pluto makes its way into the sign of Aquarius in 2023, 2024. My intention with this video is essentially just to make you aware of the propaganda that's being pushed by the mainstream. You know, with this new religion, there's also going to be a heavy push towards the idea that we were all created by aliens. That aliens are somehow our gods. You know, it's already happening. If you look at these shows like Ancient Aliens, you know, these shows are already kind of alluding to that idea. You know, these star beings are our gods. These alien or extraterrestrials are the ones who created us, and they're the ones who are God. Again, it's going to be this emphasis on putting the God power outside of the self. Just like all other religions have done, this is going to do the same. So again, it's simply another religious tactic to push the power outside of the self in order to siphon your faith energy. Because your faith energy is very powerful. Faith is a very powerful form of energy. And this has been happening for centuries with modern Christianity and, of course, other religions where, you know, the esoteric foundations have been chipped off and spread about in bits and pieces, but not expressed in their entirety. It's like they give you little bits and pieces here and there, so you're getting bits of truth, so your soul thinks it could be truth, but there's something missing. You know, it's not the whole truth. You know, religious establishments are essentially just energy harvesting grounds because you're putting so much faith energy into something outside of you. And this New Age religion is going to be promoted as this hippie, all-loving, free movement, you know, free love, all of that, but it's going to also integrate materialist science and technology in a way that supplements the abilities that we already have. So it's going to be this hyper-futuristic blend of these bastardized occult science teachings that are kind of promoting themselves as this new age spiritual religion, this free thought religion, while also integrating these hyper-futuristic technologies. And this is already happening. I'm actually reading a book called Spirit Tech by Kate Stockley. Some of you may have read it yourself. And I'll be honest, I got it because I originally thought it was going to be about spirit matter as a form of harnessable energy, but she explicitly states in the very beginning of the book that that is not what it's about, but I already bought it at that point, and I was still very interested to see what it was about, so I continued reading. And the book is essentially about how technology is beginning to mimic and replicate spiritual experiences. So, devices where you can attach nodes to your forehead, send some electrical impulses in, and boom, spiritual awakening. So this is already happening, but it's not organic evolution. We can do everything without the use of technology. In fact, inorganic technology hinders our ability to be able to connect with spirit. It further disconnects us with our ability to connect with our internal spiritual processes. And this new age religion that rises is going to parallel and heavily utilize the psychedelic revolution, which I want to disclaim, I am not trying to throw dirt on psychedelics. I think that they can be transformative in so many ways. I mean, I've seen psychedelics do so much in my own life, in my own experience. I mean, I completely turned my life around with the use of psychedelic medicine. But there is going to be an overemphasis on them because they are not necessary. They're great tools, but they are not necessary for spiritual enlightenment. And I feel as though there's going to be this push towards the use of psychedelics as kind of like a scapegoat from doing the work. It's going to be a lot of these superficial influencers that are like, oh my God, going to have these ayahuasca experiences and like, yeah, look at me and the vibes, like that kind of energy. But they're not actually doing the internal work that is required in order to transmute and evolve with the life wave. It's going to be a dependence, just like on technology. The work is not going to come from within, it's going to come from an external source. And there are many shamans who utilize psychedelics regularly in their practice, but if you do research into shamanism, usually the most prominent shamans, the ones who have the most experience, the oldest shamans, don't use psychedelics in their practice. They use their breath. I mean, the breath is literally the #1 psychedelic substance you can use. And it's flowing throughout your body every day. So we don't need these drugs. We don't need technology. We don't need anything to spiritually evolve. And granted, everybody's spiritual path is different. Everybody's going to come to their own conclusions in different ways. But relying on psychedelics, relying on, putting nodes to your forehead and sending electrical impulses in order to attain spiritual enlightenment, it's only going to hinder you in the long run to be able to connect with these abilities on your own, organically, without the use of any external substance or source. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about in this video. Just be vigilant, just be aware. There is obviously an agenda happening here to push people towards this new age falsified religion as a method of keeping people controlled, right? Because again, faith is very powerful. It is a very powerful way to control people. And, Christianity and a lot of these older religions aren't working anymore. People are starting to recognize the flaws within a lot of these religions, and they're moving away from them. So they have to act quick. So that's why there's this new religion rising, and it's going to pride itself as free thought spirituality. It's going to dress itself up as free thought occultism. But it is not that. It is simply another method of controlling the masses. So again, I just wanted to make this video just to make you guys aware of a lot of the misinformation that goes around. But if you've had experience with interdimensionals, I would love to know your stories. Leave them in the comment box below. Maybe I'll make a video sharing these stories and, talking about people's experiences. So if you would like to potentially be in a video where I share interdimensional stories that people have experienced, go ahead and leave a comment down in the comment box below, sharing your experience with interdimensionals. I have quite a few weird experiences with what I believe were interdimensional beings. So I'm happy to share those with you guys in another video. But I think it'd be really cool to make a video sharing a bunch of different people's experiences with interdimensionals. But that is it for this video. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for tuning in, and bye-bye.